How's your day been?
Has been great. I've been working on some guitar sheet for the band. So we're doing these books, and yeah, been doing that. I'm playing a little, preparing to go on vacation tomorrow. So
Oh, nice. Good for
yeah.
you.
Eh,
Much needed after all that hard work.
oh, super much needed. Like considering this is everybody's second job because everybody has a job in the band besides like daytime, nighttime shifting.
Of course. Yeah, it's gross. So let's dig in. Album comes out in a little over a month. So much, too much. I like how even just in the way that it's like the title, how it's even presented with the so much being in capitals and then too much being in lowercase. I like how you guys did that. Now, is there, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious, but is there a reason why you decided to do it that way?
Yeah, the lowercase is like it's exactly how it reads, like so much, too much.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's too much, but it's also it goes both ways because Wayne, our label guy, who's an enthusiast, every time that he talks to us, he goes like, "You guys are so much. You guys are too much."
It's got a double meaning. Well, that's
Yeah,
how I read it, was
yeah,
so much.
perfect,
And then,
perfect. It can also all be positive because it's definitely a maximalist album in a maximalist era. Yeah, there are no discounts, there are no maybes, there are no compromises. So we just went full on, which we believe that's the way we should do music.
well, you guys definitely do. I mean, you don't know what to expect. Each song, even within each song, there's so many twists and turns that you don't know what to expect. And I love that. I love the unpredictability that some bands are able to master, and you guys master it very, very well. I've listened to the album multiple times. And I still get surprised by it. And I've listened to it all the way through, probably close to 10 times. And I still feel like,
Oh wow!
yeah, and I still feel
So
like
out of
it's
this
super
things.
unpredictable. It's really, really a cool album. um yeah, so that's cool. So it's kind of, yeah, got the triple meaning. But yeah, I definitely read it as like you're like so much, and then you almost take a, like take a step back and go, yeah, it's too much. Like it's like almost like there's a deep breath in between the two, like
Right.
where the period is, there's like a deep breath there.
So
But
it's yeah. So it's too much. But did you find it easy to get to the end of the album? Like, can you listen to it beginning to end? Yes. So
absolutely.
that's important to us. Yeah. Very
No,
good news.
absolutely, because for so many different reasons. First of all, it's obviously very, very interesting, and every time I've listened to it, I hear something new, I hear something different, which is really cool. It's almost like reading a book. Like you read it in one frame of mind one time, and then you read it in another frame of mind another time, and so on and so forth, and you get something different out of it every time. That's kind of how I feel. It's you get different bits and pieces every time, which is really cool, and keeps it interesting even when you're a little bit more used to what's going on. I It's really interesting how it starts like really punchy and heavy and then ends so melodically. And if you keep it like for me on the holics, it'll just start right over again if I don't stop it. And so then it's like
Right.
shocking all over again.
All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. About this, the song track list. I remember it took us more than 2 weeks to agree on this list. We tried every possible combination, and it was the hardest ever. I remember like never ending WhatsApp conversations with screenshots. And then at some point we went to lunch together, and we started asking napkins so that we could write on that. And we came up with, I don't know, up to 20 possible combination, and it was insane. It took forever, but in the end, I think it's a nice journey. I think it's a nice journey. Maybe a lot intense towards the beginning, then some softness show and some more layers to it, so that the objective was, all right, it must be cool to listen to this and get shocked at the beginning, but we have to find a way to make the listener make it till the end of the record without, having an heart attack or something. But we really want people to get to the end of it, because it's good until the end record.
It is. Yeah, and then you have the cover of Vaseline toward the middle slash, and that, people are automatically going to want to listen to just to hear your guys' version of it. So I think you guys did a really good job with the track listing. With vinyl being so much more popular nowadays, it seems like people are taking more time to listen to a whole album versus just a song here and there, because of course those singles are going to be the first ones people are going to go to because they're the first ones that they've heard, and so that's cool that that's made a comeback, and hopefully people will take the time to listen all the way through, because it's a trip of a journey, but it's a really fun one, and obviously one that I continue to enjoy going on.
That's fantastic words. Thank you very much. Yeah, loving. I would really like to see like someone listening to the vinyl on itself. It's a beautiful object, and it really means that you're taking your time and digging yourself into the music, which is the best way possible to experience that. I'm also kind of wondering what other activity could a person do while listening to so much too much, because there's so much information in there that I don't know what else can you do in the meanwhile. Walking, I don't know, breathing. You can't breathe to it. I mean, you can't work to it, and you can definitely not study to it. Maybe exercising, I have no idea, but I think vinyl and I don't know, and a drink. That's the best combination, probably.
Yeah.
Several drinks. Yeah.
I agree. It's not one you can really have as just background music, because it's so distracting in a good way. You can't concentrate. Like I did a couple times, I tried to do some other things while I just had it in the background, because that's usually what I do with albums if I'm going to be doing an interview or a review, just to kind of have it in my subconscious, and you can't, because it demands your attention. And I think that's really cool. That's not something, very many bands can pull off, to where you're like, no, I have to know what's going on here. I can't just have it be a background thing. And maybe, I don't know if after listening to it, 30 times, maybe, because then you'd be more familiar, and I don't know. I'll be curious to see.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. And your videos too, I mean, just across the board, not only with just this album, but across the board, are just crazy, especially the Italian Boy video. That one's like so crazy. What is your guys's like I don't even know what the word is, influence, or what leads you guys to do these like crazy videos? I guess to match the music.
Starting with the Italian Boy, I was really concerned at some point that I made a mistake with the video. I directed the video myself, like most of the videos of the band. That's my day job. I'm a director, and I do that. So with the Italian Boy, me and my people, in the creative studio, we wanted to go a little bit above the line. But at some point, I sent a preview to the guys, and I got no response for, I don't know, 2 to 3 days, which is unbelievable, because usually they're so responsive. And I was like, oh, maybe it should grow on them. And it became crazier and crazier, and they ended up loving it. So the Italian Boy is basically the story of this girl that comes from abroad, so comes from outside Italy, comes to Italy, and falls in love with an Italian boy. At first, she's very into him, as we can see her holding him on the palm of her hand, falling in love with him because he's so charming and so colorful and so caliente, whatever are the stereotypes for Italians. And she finds out sooner that's not the only stereotype that she might be walking into. For instance, he's not a gentleman, he's a chauvinist, or he's an ignorant, you know, he's an Italian boy. We did, to prepare for this video clip, we did this fake Instagram takeover when one of my friends was posing as the Italian boy doing Italian stuff, and it was dressed like an idiot, and that was really good. So that's it for the Italian boy. And then she gets angry to him and destroys him, breaks him into pieces. The pieces go all over the place, so you can find an arm on the beach and an arm in the in the gym. And the thing about it, like the third element that there is to the Italian boy, is this Dali animation. So Dali is the artificial intelligence that generates images based on text. So we will be like, all right, give me images that are Silvio Berlusconi running naked in a field. And Dali comes out with a few images that you can tweak. And we collected thousands of them and put them frame by frame as to create some kind of animation that is not an animation per se, but it gives a sense of flowing, like it's flow of consciousness. And that part, the Dali animation, is the cultural background of the Italian boy. So there are politicians from the past, there are people from the trashy entertainment of the now, there are important and unimportant figures. And this is the mind of this guy. He was born like that. So it's a little, it's a little demonstration of our today's culture for the middleman. So yeah, that's it. She destroys it, and then she tries to put back the pieces together at the end. Give it a second try, whatever. Love wins.
Maybe I
so
didn't give
that,
him the benefit of the doubt. Oh
yeah.
no, so creative. Do you happen to know how many image you guys ended up with on that video? Because I was like, I don't even know if there's a possible way to
I
count
don't
because
know.
it's so fast.
It's easily thousand, more than 1,000. I didn't count them, and we didn't even use all the images.
Jeez.
We were 6 people in the search because it takes some time to get the results out of Dali, and then only a part of it could be stitched together to create the story. Some of them were just beautiful, but not really usable. So I'll say, and then there are 12 of these images in a second. So it's I don't know. Probably for the video clip we used I don't know 600-700, and out of the 2,000 images database that we collected. Yeah.
Jeez.
So
I can't imagine. I can't imagine editing that. Like I edit my own just articles and it seems like so much work. I cannot imagine editing something like that.
Yeah, but editing becomes better with time. Like I do it every day since 15 years. So it becomes really a part of you. And you look at things and you immediately understand what's in the beginning, what's at the end, and then you figure your way out for the process, what's in between, where's the climax. Yeah.
That's cool that
Kind of.
you're the one that does the videos. That's really cool. I had actually heard that before, and I think that's really neat that you have an insider person who understands what you guys are doing and the concept of the songs and everything to be able to bring it to life.
Yeah, and I'm so lucky with the people that are working with me, because it's true that I direct them and I do the editing, but there are so many people around that are giving their hand for very little money out of passion and doing their best. So either they're directors of photography, but down the chain until the runner. I mean, these are my favorite people. They're always helping out, especially if the project is exciting. Everything Sucks video clip is less conceptual, so it's just a band playing, but we wanted it to be very visually striking. So we wanted it to be with this macro, kind of shots. So everything is very close and everything is very out of focus. And there is a section in the middle that is actually not filmed, but is series of photographs. So there are
Okay,
photographs,
yes.
pictures, right? And they're picture with long exposure time, and so you have all this motion blur that makes it very dreamlike. So that's it for the everything sucks. But the editing took much longer. Like the number of cuts per
Oh,
seconds in
geez.
that video
Oh, I'm
was, yeah,
sure. I'm
yeah, yeah,
sure
yeah.
it's like the video's a fraction of what, yeah, the cuts and everything come or that, yeah, you have to do throughout. Um it seems like everybody's really enjoying both though, and they're dynamically different styles of songs and videos. And I mean, without besides the slower ones, I would say they're probably the two most dynamic ones from each other, you know.
Right.
And it seems like everybody's really enjoying both though. So I'm excited for everybody to be able to hear the rest of the album, because I think if you like those two, then you're gonna like all of it, you know.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. There are a few hidden treasures in the album. There are a
Mhm.
few surprises, collaborations, and there's a lot
Yes.
to get excited about. Yeah.
So um so speaking of the collaborations, um Venus is sunken Venice has sunken. Not Venus, Venice. Venus.
That you
Venice.
mean Venice has sunk? Yeah.
Yes, has sunk. Yeah. Geez. I have not had coffee yet this morning, and I should know better to do interviews without coffee, because my brain always is a lot more slower, but for some reason I just have not fixed that yet. I don't know.
I
It's dumb.
About
But
that, I tried not drinking coffee for a while, and it really works.
I
The
should
time.
probably try to, because I know if I can make it like a couple weeks, and if, you know, drinking water obviously is supposed to help your brain go better. And so I think if I actually gave it a chance instead of like just a few hours, but I get headaches.
Yeah. Skip
Yeah.
a few. But do you guys have I don't know, guarana over there? It's a beverage that I find out in Brazil. It's called guarana, and it's the most energetic energy drink I've ever tried. Like
Oh,
when I'm really bad, I can have just a few sips of that, and it's
is
like
that
cocaine. Yeah.
I can't do energy drinks. They
Yeah.
give me like high amounts of anxiety. So I probably would be a mess on
Right,
that.
right, right. These exotic drinks, they're very dangerous. Like sometimes I go to these little shops down my road, and I get the craziest colored bottle that I can see. One of them is called Inca Cola, and there's so much caffeine, there's so much sugar in it that if you turn the bottle, it says that it's not suitable for kids.
Geez, yeah.
You
Yeah,
shouldn't you
that's when
shouldn't
you're
give it
like,
to your kid. Like you will end up having a hyperactive kid on fire, you know. Then it dies, runs out of batteries, just dies, wakes up in 3 months. He doesn't die out of hunger in that time that he's sleeping in the glycemic peak. I don't know, but yeah.
geez.
Well, we're really going off-road, do we?
Well, Venice is Sunk
Yeah.
is probably my favorite if I had to pick a favorite. It's, you know, super,
I'm so
super.
glad because it's my favorite too.
Is it? It's so
Yeah.
cool. It's such a cool
Yeah.
song. It has so many different, again, just so many different dynamics. But so your collaboration with, is it Federico? I think was his name, the bass player.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we were even thinking of not mentioning it in interviews and stuff because we just want at some point our fans to try to understand who's this incredible bass player.
oh, he's
Because
good.
yeah, it's unbelievable. That guy is a monster. A lot of people say he's one of the best amongst the young bass players that are coming along, leaving aside the legends and the
Like the
geniuses of
Victor Wootens.
yeah, exactly. So he's really one of the best, and he's unbelievable. He doesn't even need to know what's the BPM and what's the whatever harmonic context. It just plays that. To him, that is playing. literally.
Right. Just
Yeah.
naturally. Yeah, that funky bass line in there is so cool. And you can tell, you know, how talented he is just in that little piece in that song. But it's such a cool song. And your vocalist has so many different ranges. So when I get albums sent all the time, and when I have usually when I get them from Monica, I check them out because she has some of the coolest and most crazy, you know, bands. So I usually am interested in what she has to send. So I think I'd only listened to probably 30 seconds of the first song before I was like, all right, yeah, I want to do this. And I was
Right.
already very excited. But I automatically was kind of like it rem- reminds me of like a heavier Mr. Bungle outside of the thrash Mr. Bungle, but just because it's so crazy, you just don't know what to expect, you know. And so, but then the more I listened, the more I was like, no, this is even crazier than Mr. Bungle. And I didn't know that was, I didn't think that was a thing. I don't know. Have you listened to Mr. Bungle before?
Yeah, we love the band. We love everything that Mike Patton has
Oh,
done.
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Of course,
Big.
including the Dillinger Escape Plan album in which he's singing.
Mhm.
Yeah, EP, I guess. Yeah, so great reference.
Yeah, but your vocalist has a lot of different ranges as well, like does a lot of different styles of vocals as well, which is really cool because that's another thing that you just kind of don't know what you're going to get even vocally, let alone musically. I mean, musically is just a whole other beast. But yeah, it's so interesting. How do you guys, I can't even imagine what your guys' practices and coming together it could even possibly be like. I mean, it's like someone says, "Hey, I have this idea," and you guys are like, "Yep, throw it in there." Okay, I have this idea. Yep, throw it in there. Like that's
And then it's so much more complicated because we end up using, I don't know, a couple of ideas out of 10. So we're really picky when it comes to our rough material. And it generally goes like this. Whoever, it can be me or it can be everybody else. Like I'm the main author, but everybody contributes musically. So it goes for me like an idea comes to my mind and I record it on my phone just like that with my voice only. And sometimes they come during the sleep, these ideas, which makes it a real challenge the morning after to
trying to remember. You,
remember or even interpret those. So
yeah.
if they make the test of being a good voice message or whatever, they go to the second stage and I try to put them down on a guitar or in an Ableton sequence, Ableton Live, and I share it with the other guys. We decide whether to work on that or not. And we use a lot of voice messages via mail. Sometimes when I'm jamming with a guitar, I just send something over to the guys. And this can also create some kind of strange results. Like if you know the song A Commercial Break That Lasts
Mm,
Forever, that's
so
the first
cool.
song to the album.
Yes, that's a great song.
Um, that first riff, I was recording it on the guitar and was like, this is pretty cool. And I sent it via voice message to Paolo, the singer. And the riff was like, a lot slower than it was. And Paolo answered like, this is the craziest shit, let's work on it. So when we went a bit down in the process and he came to my studio and we were working on the material, he said, there's something really off with the direction this song has taken. It's so strange. Why is it so slow? And I told him, yeah, it was always this slow. Like, this is the right pace to me. And after a while, he realized that he has listened to my voice message on WhatsApp on 1.5 speed. So he was just
Oh my
listening to
gosh,
it
that's
at a
hilarious.
crazy speed. And he said, all right, I don't know if this is impossible or not, but this is the speed that it's gonna be.
So were you
So
like,
we
well,
had to
crap?
push, yeah, to match that mistake, we had to push our physical boundaries and just get that song to very fast. It never made it to 1.5, to be honest. It's maybe 1.3 or something, but it's really worked. So I'm really, really happy that we have done that mistake.
So is
But
that one that
also, Yeah, the everything sucks has this guitar sound that goes like this high pitched note, and that is also some kind of mistake. At some point, my guitar fell, and a spring inside of the humbucker pickup got damaged. So the humbucker pickup came off, and it was all the way pushing towards the strings. And if I was playing with my pick, that's the sound that I got. This strange harmonic that is not one note, but it sounds more like a cluster of notes that are not in pitch. And then I was like, okay, I love that. And I put back the humbucker, and I tried to get in the same point with the same pressure with my left hand, and that's where that sound comes from. So it's a very fortunate accident.
That's so crazy. So then you had to try to mimic, yeah, those mistakes. So are you, so for the live show, which I'm sure your guys' live shows are absolutely nuts, are you nervous to play a couple of these happy mistakes?
Yeah, more than for the mistakes, we're kind of wondering what's going to happen on stage since our bass player left us,
Mm,
because our long time bass player Gabriel Piñata decided to leave the band in 2019, right after the pandemic, and he's coming on tour with us. To be
okay.
frank, that's amazing, but he just wants to drive. He
Mhm.
doesn't want to play anymore. But it's amazing because a lot of people think that when a band splits, it must be because the members had very bad fights and they cannot stand each other anymore. But this is absolutely not the case. He
Mhm.
quit playing with us and he just wants to be in the family, which I find even sweeter. He's going to be on tour with us, and he's in the crew, and we're going to play with no bass player because we never felt like replacing him. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, there's going to be no bass player on stage this time. That's also why for the rest of the record, we me and Ralph, the other guitarist, and the producer, we played bass for people.
Oh,
Gabriel, he played one note. I just asked him to play one note, the old
yeah.
bass player, indeed, because he was hanging out with us also all the time during the recordings, which was amazing.
Oh
He
my
just didn't want
God.
to have the fuss of playing, but he
Yeah.
wants to be around. So that's the main concern. I don't know how it's going to turn out because he
Mhm.
was a fundamental element on stage. A
Mhm.
lot of the energy and the dynamism of the band was coming from him, and we will see how this turns.
Yeah.
Plus, we're not playing a live show since 3.5 years, 3 years, sadly, because of pandemics.
Oh.
So pandemics plus, you know, after that, we just wanted to write new music. We didn't want to do a show with the old music only,
Mhm.
and we're coming back. We'll see how it goes. But I guess we have 15 shows planned. 4 more are coming. 10s are coming. So it's going to be a matter of. Frankly, sorry for the people who's going to see the first 3, 4 shows.
I doubt
But
that they're gonna
they,
be
they will be
disappointed
they will
even.
be understanding. It's a process. We're going back. We're out of
Yeah.
shape. Some of us got really out of shape. We'll
Yeah.
see how it
I
goes.
think that's pretty much collectively across the board during COVID.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can't imagine that anybody's going to be disappointed, even if there are some slips along the way trying to get right, acclimated again. I again can only imagine that the shows are pretty intense and exciting. Do you know if you guys are planning on coming over to the States anytime soon?
not at the very moment. We have planned Europe in 2 branches now, plus a third and fourth legs that are coming later on, and the States tour plus Canada maybe is going to follow. We will see how and who, which band we will be touring with. So yeah, we're
Uh,
we're programming that.
Yeah, well, periphery, I know, obviously comes into the States. Is that, since that's someone that you guys work with, is that a
Yeah.
possibility of you guys coming on with them?
That's definitely a possibility, but not the only one. We will see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. That's exciting. I hope
Well, by the way, we loved touring with Periphery. It was so fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. It's lovely to hang out with them. And there's even I was looking at the roster of the Three Dot recording, and it's like a family. You could totally see that if you go on the website and on the artist section. So half of the acts there are members of Periphery doing their own thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was scrolling down and I saw this Jake Bowen album that sounds nothing like a guitarist. Like it's very beautiful, electronic music, kind
Huh.
of mood and very aesthetic in a way. And I was remembering when Jake Bowen, which we never spoke a word at that point with, because he's a very reserved and silent guy, we were struggling because our singer closed ourselves. No, let's say not our singer. Let's not blame anyone. We were stuck outside of our caravan because the keys were inside. So we were just stuck there, and the big storm was coming, and we needed to go to the next city. We were in Austria at the very beginning of the European tour we did with Periphery. So this guy comes around, Jake Bowen, and we're like, hey, can you pick a lot? A lock? Can you pick a lock? And he said, of course. I don't know what made us think that he could do that, but he could.
Oh my gosh. So he was able to get you
Yeah,
in?
I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna take a few tools.
Oh
And
my
we
gosh.
said, okay, we thought that he was shitting us for being so lame, being locked outside of our own caravan. We thought that he was gonna go and never come back, but he came back with
That's
iron
cool.
wire. And, yeah.
And now you
Shit.
have the story.
Yeah. Now we have the story.
Funny. Have you guys ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, sorry, go again.
Dungeons and Dragons. Have you ever played that game?
I tried once when I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure I have ADHD and I can't sit
Concentrate.
there for more than no. So no,
Yeah.
it was not just my thing.
Yeah.
I tried
Well,
to-
there's
yeah,
there's
but it's a fascinating world, and now that Stranger Things is bringing it back,
yes.
as
Yeah.
well as classic metal. They're bringing back a lot of kids are getting into Metallica now because they were watching the series. They had no idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
Do
son's
you
one
like
of
the
them.
scene
I
in
love
Monster Puppets? Huh?
yes. Oh yes. Oh yes,
Yeah.
we're big Stranger Things fans, and so we get on it as soon as it comes out. But my son's one of them, which is funny because he grew up listening to Metallica, but because it came from mom, then it's not cool. But now that
Right.
Eddie Munson
Yeah.
is playing it, now it's cool. So yeah, he now listens to Master of Puppets all the time, and I'm like, there's a lot of other really good ones too. If you will if you will allow me to take you down the Metallica path.
All right. Yeah. If you allow me.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Your mom is
Oh,
cool in some ways.
what does he think of Destrage? Is that daddy's rock as well, or it's young enough for him?
Um,
Which
he
it's
hasn't
hard.
listened to a lot of it yet. He's 14. He loves Mr. Bungle, so I can only imagine that he's gonna enjoy it. But he hasn't listened to a lot of it yet. I kind of do my studying. If I try to say, hey, listen to this, automatically it's a no. So I
It's
have to
an
like kind of sneak it. I have to like play it around him without calling attention to it, and then he is the one who gets to say whether. So I need to just start playing it around him and see if his ears start
fire.
perking up. I bet he will though, because it's totally in
Yeah,
his wheelhouse.
that thing that you just said, if it's coming from you, is going to be a no, like right away. It brings me back to the time when my dad wanted me to be interested in guitar, because he played guitar he was a guitar player, but out of a hobby. So he had this classical guitar hanging over the closet, and he was telling me, guitar is so cool, it keeps you company, which is the lamest thing you could ever say to a 12-year-old. Like, dad, I have friends, I have interests. I don't need the company of a fucking piece of wood. Leave me alone with that.
Right.
I can totally relate.
Oh
He
my
gave up on that. I think the moment he gave up trying to encourage me to play the instrument, I got kind of curious myself, and I just picked it up from above the closet. And I think I was 13 or 14 years
13
old at
or
that
14.
point. Yeah.
That's cool. And so then was he like trying to hide his excitement when he saw you playing? Was he like, "Oh yeah, whatever," or was he like really excited that you were playing it and showing interest?
He was not showing much interest. Like he liked the fact that I was using his guitar, definitely,
Hmm.
but then he couldn't keep up. I
Oh
think because I
yeah.
was to me as well as the other people playing in my band. The instrument became an obsession very very early. So
Hmm.
after a while, it's just boring to have your kid, you know, playing a fucking guitar the whole
Nonstop.
day instead of
Hmm.
doing other things. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember at some point he told me, he had this talk with me like, son, I thought all these years you were wasting your time on guitar, but
Hmm.
frankly, I think you did quite a good job. So yeah,
That's
good job.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that
That's a
was
full
cool.
circle moment.
Yeah, that was a good moment. And at that point, I was already like 20, 28, and the career in music was already going. So I said, yeah, Dan, great. Did you acknowledge? Like I've
Yeah.
published 3 albums so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Um, I I have kind of the same experience with my son. His name is Hendrix, and so I gave him the option to decide what instrument he wanted to play, but it just had to be an instrument. So he chose drums at first, and I'm like, "Your name's Hendrix, and you're choosing to be a drummer, but hey, that's cool, as long as it's." And he
Right.
kind of was into that for not super long. And then he slowly started getting more interested. I play guitar and my husband plays guitar, and he
Oh,
slowly
nice.
started getting more interested in guitar. And I was like, okay, for me, I was like, try to be cool, try not to make a big deal about this, if this is like, don't be like, oh my gosh, yes, finally, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
be cool.
Try to be cool. At some point, you can tell him that guitar is such a better choice than drums because you can play guitar drunk, but you can't play drums. You have to be sober. Like usually, drummers are the sober guy. Is the sober guy in the band? Is always,
Yeah.
needs to stitch everybody together with his patterns, and they're very diligent. All the drummers I know, they're absolutely, zen.
Yeah. Well,
The
yeah,
guitar
probably have
players,
to be.
they can be drunk, they can vomit, they can launch the guitar, they can jump in the pit with the crowd. They can, yeah, it's a lot better, I think. They
Your
can be
dad's like,
slow.
these
You know, your guitar player, you can be sloppy as fuck, especially if you're in a band with another guitar player. That's what I do all the time. He's the good one or the bad one. I can just rely on him.
just unplug your guitar at one point. You just go ahead. I'm gonna hang back here and listen.
We'll see now without a bass player. I cannot hide anymore. Like our show are going to be more like focused. I have to really pay attention of what is going on my neck. Well, we'll see.
I don't know how you can do it not completely focused even with a bass player, because there's so many changes, and it's so like it seems like you would have to keep on your toes. And I know obviously you guys created it and play it, a million times over and over, but it still
Yeah.
seems like you would have to be very focused to make sure that you're staying on time with all the time changes.
That is very true, but the temptation of having fun is too strong. I mean, you're on stage in a sweaty room or
Mhm.
outside in a summer festival, and you just want to have the experience that the audience is having. So a little bit of sloppiness, as long as it's not completely disrespectful toward the audience, it's allowed because it's a live show and you have to feel it.
Mhm.
Also, we're very blessed with this factor that I am about to describe. A lot of techie bands, like we are, like technical parts and stuff, they tend to have an audience that is very serious, silent, goes to watch how you play, and that will kill me. Luckily, our audience, like the kids that are coming to our show, they're there to have fun, they're there to jump, they're there to sweat and to
Mhm.
sing, which makes it a total different planet for a
Right.
player, because you understand that they want to have fun more than checking out whether you're making mistakes or not.
Right. No, that's a
Yeah,
really good point. And you guys have definitely set that oh my gosh, words are so tough for me today, but have set that type of audience for yourselves because you're such a unique, fun, but yes, very technical, but yet there's still such a fun and um creative side of it that I could see how people would be like, I just want to go and have fun, even though a lot of technical stuff is going on. I want to go
yeah,
just have fun because they're fun, you know?
yeah. I love that. It makes us even more niche, because not everybody likes technical things that are fun and ironic and crazy at the same time.
Right.
So it makes us very niche, but it's a very, very sweet niche. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I know that not everybody gets just progressive music in general, but I can't imagine anybody not having at least one of your guys' songs that they're going to enjoy, even if it's not necessarily their bag, because there's so much that you guys are doing all over the board. Someone's
Mhm.
going to like something if they
Yeah, it's gonna
don't
take a
like it
little.
all.
It's gonna take a little research, but they can definitely find something for their tastes. I'm sure of that.
It kind of reminds me of like a modern day Led Zeppelin. Like Led Zeppelin's one of those bands that do so many different, obviously not a progressive band because I don't even know if, well, I guess that was a
Well,
somewhat of a thing
kind
back
of the
then,
beginning of it. Yeah.
but yeah, you can find something for everybody. Um, so your other collaboration um was with Devin Townsend. Holy crap. Was that
Holy
really
crap.
exciting? And how did that come about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The guy is hard to get.
Yes, I was
Um,
like, wow, that's really cool.
we were lucky. He was specifying all the time, guys, I don't do these things. I don't do guests and featurings and stuff.
Mhm.
But we were very lucky. Devin is has a friendship bond with Federico, our drum player, and
Oh,
they
okay.
are also professionally involved because Federico played on Devin's album, and they were also planning tours together. So that's why Devin decided to give back the favor in a way,
Are
which
you
was
guys
beautiful. Yeah.
are you guys gonna release that as a single? It's such a cool song. It's the one that usually sticks in my head the most. Like I'll be, cleaning and then that's the one that'll stick.
Oh, that's very cool that it gets stuck in your head. That song had issues. We went back re-recording it after it was recorded, very close to the finishing of the mix. Will Putney, who was mixing the song, received a brand new chorus arrangement for that song within the very last days, 3 days away from wrapping. And I'm so glad we did that, because it was somehow not grooving enough. And I think now that chorus is a banger. And before that, I'm not talking huge differences, but there was something in the drum beat and in the guitar kind of delivery that was just not clicking enough. I'm so glad we have redone it. And speaking of Devin, he sings on the last of the three choruses, and then he sings also on the final part. And he told us, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna do this, but at one condition: I have to be able to write my own parts." Yeah, fantastic. More than a condition, it sounds like a treat to me. Yeah, please have fun and do your parts. So he did his parts, which is crazy because when he sent when he sent over his vocal overdubs, we were like, oh my god, this never ends. It's a list of harmonies, and I don't know how he does that. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And for the very last part, he was supposed to just vocalize, not saying any words, and the lyrics didn't contain any words for that particular section, so he just came up with his own words.
That's cool.
Yeah, the song "Private Party" talk about, you know, the need of being left alone, and especially after pandemic, the electronic communication or via phone or via any media became so overwhelming. I remember people were bringing their phones even in the shower, because at any time somebody could talk to you. We went into this global hysteria where everybody was smart working, and everybody was supposed to be able to get a call at any time, and that thing went way off. So private party, there's a private party in my soul, and leave me alone. And with all that, he came out with these words that go somewhere between, what does he say, tell me, don't you sell me, which is beautifully harmonic, you know, in terms of metrics, and it's a real banger. Plus he totally delivered something that is the real essence of the song, and he did it in such a small amount of time. Like, that guy is a genius, not only a legend. Or, I mean, I understand why he's a legend now even
Oh
more.
yeah. Oh yeah, I'll bet working with him and seeing how he works just outside of listening to him, I'm sure is a whole other experience.
Yeah, totally.
Now you
He
just need to
says in
get
his, yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
he says in his interviews that he doesn't know a lot of music theory, it just go by ears, by ear. Yeah, he says that to him, colors and notes, they're the same thing, so he's painting with it.
That's
That's
cool. That's really
really
cool. Now you just need to do a collaboration with Mike Patton and all will be
Mike
perfect.
Patton. Wow, that would be perfect. We never thought of it somehow, but yeah, I
Have
don't
you?
even know how to catch him. He was living in Italy for a long time, actually.
Oh,
He was
oh,
living in Bologna, which is a couple of hours away from where we are based in Milan. It would have been easy. He was having his own record label, featuring a lot of great artists that are very hard to listen to, like Zoo. It's called ZU. That's a noise band, super violent, and they don't have any guitar. They just have a saxophone and a bass.
how weird.
Yeah, I was really in love with that band, and that saxophone player, he actually played on our previous album on the song that is called oh, I don't even remember my titles.
You guys got some pretty crazy titles throughout all the years.
Cut me some slack. It's so warm in here. Yeah.
Plus, you guys have, I mean, what? This is your 6th album, so it's not like you guys have a small discography.
Yeah. It's 6 albums right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so. Mr. Buckman, he played on Mr. Buckman, and he plays a saxophone solo on the end of it. And he also plays on At the Cost of Pleasure. So, yeah, amazing. Thanks to Mike Patton once again.
I think he's kind of like the Kevin Bacon of music. There's a lot of people that, have you ever heard the Kevin Bacon game or whatever, where you're able to, within 3 people, connect people to Kevin Bacon?
No, that sounds interesting.
Well, Mike Patton's like that for music. Like, I bet within 3 musicians, you can probably link someone to Mike Patton.
Checking it out right now. Bacon game. I don't know, but there was a moment where we were really playing a lot. It was a few years ago. Of course, you know that game it's made with cards. Yeah, Cards Against Humanity.
Oh yes.
You know that.
Oh, of course.
So I was so obsessed with that game that a couple of years after its delivery, I made my own version with it's only the Destrage joke base. So we have this set of cards that we bring on tour, and I should update it. And it's sadly, I think it's enjoyable only for us or
Do you
people in
think
our
so? I was
queue.
gonna
People in
say
our
you should release those for the fans, but you don't think
people,
the fans would get as big of a kick from them?
yeah, I think the people who did Cards Against Humanity will not have anything against it,
Yeah,
as long as you're not trying to, you know, steal anything from there. Because I read their statements and stuff, and they're really cool. They
they are
encourage
cool.
you actually to make your own version.
Yeah.
And but that is the craziest game we've ever played. Like people are choking from laughter when we play that. The
That's
first time we played that game, I give you this step because it was so cool. When we went to America and North America, States and Canada, we were supposed to land in Toronto, and instead one of us bought the wrong tickets. We we landed in oh wait, Montreal, I think. I
oh,
think
okay.
we landed in Montreal instead of Toronto, and we were mad as fuck because that meant a lot of time that you're not gonna spend resting and some more extra money to just go on a train from Montreal to Toronto. Which I was like, okay, guys, we're gonna see a lot of beautiful nature. You know, trying to be the positive dude of the situation. So we get in this train and we understand that the way from Montreal to Toronto is ugly as fuck. It was unbelievably bad. It was a succession of, you know, dead car cemetery and dead truck cemetery, and then dead wheels, and then ponds, and then swamps, and then nothing, and then repeat. When I told this to Protest the Hero, that's the Canadian band we were touring with, they were like, "Oh, right, that road is awful. It's not panoramic. That's the worst part of the country." And we were having a laugh about it. So in that very upsetting moment, I was like, "Okay, let's try this game," and I pulled it off, and it really completely transformed our tour. I
That's
think.
awesome.
Cards Against Humanity, the Strange version, which we even gave it a name that comes from one of our sentences. People that are fond of our documentaries know it. It goes, Cards Against Humanity, continue listening to Dream Theater and you will never be able to open a beer with a lighter. Which, yeah, that's insane. That is something that our bass player said once. He was always mocking our guitar player for being too fond of Dream Theater. And this guy wasn't able to open his beers with a lighter or with anything. So we always had to open it for him. And that's when he came out with the sentence, "Oh, Rob, continue listening to Dream Theater, you will never be able to open a beer with a lighter."
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. So I see. So it's more like inside joke type things that you guys have that you
Yeah,
guys
it's
have
inside jokes, but
experienced. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're related to our documentaries. At some point, we released this Mamma Mia, not the musical. It's many years ago, and it's a tour documentary, and we just
Oh,
go nuts, and it's so honest and so natural, and all these jokes are coming up, and especially our Italian fans could relate much more because we speak Italian, and but people are throwing back those jokes 10 years from now,
oh,
like, and they're still coming out with those things. Or there is a documentary we made in Tokyo in 2009, and people still come up with those jokes.
oh my
They
gosh, that's really
remember
cool.
it. That's amazing because they're not written, they're just, you know, spontaneous.
Right.
So
That's really cool. Do you guys have, you know, how some fan bases have like a name? Do you guys, does your fan base
right,
have?
yeah. We our fan base doesn't have a name yet.
No, you need to
Oh,
work on that.
we could work on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks for the insight. If you have any suggestion, yeah, we'll see.
Mm.
We'll see. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing. I should work on it.
Yeah,
I,
that'd be fun.
I like naming things. There's a song on the album that is called Rimashi,
Mm-hmm.
and
A cool song.
sounds kind of Japanese, and it is the result of merging the names of my two cats. It's
Oh my gosh,
Rima
how
and
fun.
Sheila, so they're Rimashi.
And that one's
Yeah,
just an instrumental, right?
that's just instrumental.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a cool one.
Those, yeah, yeah. Go
It's
ahead.
cool how it merges into the next song because it abruptly ends and then it goes right into the next song, which
Right.
I thought was really cool.
It used to be one long song, but at
Mm-hmm.
some point we just found that it would have been better to split them into two. So if someone wants to go into the banger, you can, they can. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So, do you just have the two cats, or do you have more animals outside of the two cats?
I wanted to have a parrot, but
Oh,
yeah, I don't know how the cats will take it.
right.
Probably good after a while, but the kind of parrot that I'm interested in are too loud, and
Uh,
I live in a small apartment. I have a little outside, but in Italy and especially Milan, everything is so tight. People
mhm.
live in very, very little spaces. So I'm
So
lucky enough to have an outside. Yeah,
you're
my
trying to
cats
be
go outside all the time.
Oh, do they?
They bring their own pet home. Lizards, mouses, rats. They Rima, which is the older one. She even brought a bat. I don't know how she caught it. She brought a bat. He couldn't fly anymore, and I love bats because they eat mosquitoes, and that's an issue here. Yeah, mosquitoes. So
Hmm.
I just took the bat and I put it in a box. I made holes in the cardboard box, and I was feeding the bat, not feeding because he
Oh.
wouldn't accept any food. I was
Uh,
giving him mosquitoes because I'm
uh,
killing them all the time. And well, you don't really have to aim to kill a mosquito in Milan. You can just clap and something will get between your hands. At
Jeez.
this moment, it's really crazy.
Oh,
The
that's
city
not
of
fun.
passion. And so I was just giving him water with a syringe. And then I brought it to the vet, and I don't know. I'm afraid to write because I don't want to know that he didn't make it. In my mind, he
Yeah.
made it. He made it, and he became a vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. He became who I am going to predict Eddie Munson because I think he's going to be back as a vampire.
fantastic. Yeah,
I hope
sex.
so. We play D&D, so I'm like I could see it, and because the show's based on D&D, I'm like I could see them doing that. We'll see.
Right. Yeah. Did you listen to the last song? I think, of course, you did. The Everything Sucks.
Everything sucks less.
Yeah.
I love that
Um,
song.
that song is actually where the Everything Sucks, and I think I'm a big part of it. That's where it originated. It was Everything Sucks Less at the beginning. So
Oh,
that
really?
chorus, the two songs, they share pretty much the same refrain. It's pretty much the same.
Oh, I don't
And
know if I noticed that because they're so different. I didn't notice that. I need to go back and listen.
they're super different, but if you listen to the refrain of Everything Sucks Less, and you go in that section of Everything Sucks, and I think I'm a big part of it, of the video, where the style changes. So it's not
Uh-huh.
red anymore, but it's the pictures, still
Uh,
images that I was talking about. That's the refrain, and you can definitely you can definitely appreciate that they used to be the same song. And
that's crazy.
Everything Sucks Less used to be like, I wrote that lyric and it was a love song because we never had a love song. And I think love songs are cheesy, but if you make them interesting, I think they can be pretty punk. So it wasn't having any word like love or sweet or flower or baby or forever or together. None of that. None of that. It was
No.
my way trying to be romantic, but some of those lyrics, they were really cool, like at least to me, saying, I will eat all the broken bits of biscuits in the box so that you can have the perfect round. To me, is a very lovely thing.
Mm-hmm.
You live with your love, and I hate opening up the box of biscuits and everything is in pieces. And I know she hates that too. So I eat the crumbles and I eat the pieces. She
Oh.
finds that. And I thought it was kind of rock and roll enough, but the guys told me, nope, we're not gonna have a love song. Rewrite the lyrics. So I rewrote the lyric, and it's such a hateful song. Like it talks of gore and torture, and
Mhm.
it's terrible. But I think the cool thing is that I didn't really change many words, you know?
Mhm.
I just switched some of them here and there, and the meaning completely turned. So
Right.
if the lyric reads strange, it's because it used to be something else.
Well, you know what? Love can be super messy, so that's probably maybe even a little bit more accurate.
Oh yeah, that's an argue, kind of lyric,
Yeah.
and then in the end you make peace.
So, with lyrics, I didn't realize that you were the one that wrote the lyrics. So that's puts a different spin on this interview.
Not all of
Because
them,
not
not
all of
all of
them,
them.
just some of them.
Yeah, on this
Okay.
record, most of them, I will say. Not
Okay.
not everything, yeah.
Because while there's like a lot of stuff musically going on, and there's fun, and some satirical things going on as well, there's also a lot of insight in your guys' lyrics, not just in this album, all throughout. So how does that just come natural, or how do you find that balance of where you're like, okay, let's talk about important topics and these insightful topics, but also still make it fun and some parts satirical, and how do you find that balance?
I keep a journal that I kind of write on daily, even very small bits of phrases or things that I noticed. And so when it's about writing lyrics, I can just look back at that, and if I can pick up a topic that uh, can be explored further, I just try to turn it into a lyric. We try not to be especially politic, and
Mm-hmm.
we really didn't want to write about the war or about pandemic. We didn't want to write about things that are bigger than us. Also, because not everybody in the band is on the same page.
Right.
We're definitely very like-minded, but with some differences, and on those topics, we just don't, you know, it wouldn't represent the whole band. So some of the lyrics are very generic, or some of them are very, very personal, and some of them they just try to, what I like the most, try to define a scenario or tell a story. Like with the Italian Boy, that is a
Mm-hmm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
And um, then what we do is Paolo, our singer, usually when we write music, he puts their blah blahs. Lala's like he will just sing anything, and then it's a matter of taking that melody lines that he put there, even with the growls. It just growls anything, and to me it's syllabs, and it's like notes. So at that point it's just a puzzle. I need to fill in
Mm-hmm.
17 syllabs verse, and I have my archive of writing. So it's a very fun way to approach yourself to lyrics.
Yeah.
I really like it, and I like writing lyrics to a pre-existing kind of melody.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah,
Do you enjoy reading? Do you read outside
I
of playing music?
I enjoy reading, but my patience is zero. So I find it more and more difficult. But I
Mhm.
definitely do, and I'm a film enthusiast. So I also read scripts like
Mm.
screenwrites, sceneggiature. Yeah, but I really find it difficult. Like I love short tales, and yeah, I have some blogs that I go back to and some podcasts that I listen to. Not really a big novel guy.
Mm-hmm. More
When I
short.
read, yeah, short novels. So short, what it's, if it's fictional, for me it's rather short. If I'm reading long stuff, they're technical and they talk about topics that I'm interested in. So
Hmm.
learning kind of. Yeah, are you a reader? I think you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to read.
So
I have like a library at our house. It's ridiculous. But I was just curious since you do some of the lyrics, sometimes lyricists are big time readers, and that's where some of their um vocabulary or ideas or come from. So I was
all
just
right,
curious.
it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So anything else about the lyrics? Let me take a look at these lyrics. Commercial break, Vanessa sang time voice. An imposter wasn't really much. Oh, there is a lyric that I particularly enjoyed. This is the unisex unibrow. Unibrow, sorry. So at some point I was obsessed with this thing. Like I have a unibrow, and I picked it off for years, making distance between the two eyebrows. But at some point, I just decided to make it widely grow because I find it interesting, and I find it very unisex. Like, I really respect any human who has the bravery of doing so, especially if they're
Mhm.
girls or they feel like they're girls. And this is very unisex. Like, we didn't really want to do something that was queer at all cost, but I think we're a very queery band. Like, we're very inclusive, and all my friends are of, they belong anywhere in the spectrum.
Yeah, I think
So
that's so important.
the unisex unibrow is a monorail for all. Cross my forehead, my love. Don't put a cross on me. So don't hate me because I have a unibrow.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting because on the surface it sounds like, yeah, like something that would be funny, but really the message behind it is so important. So important for people to, like you said, feel comfortable being themselves and feel like they're going to be included and accepted and loved for who they are. And so I think that's really I never would have thought that because it's such a
That's
short, short
I
song. I never would have thought
I
that something
I
would happen.
think you pointed out a problem in our lyrics. Like, there are a lot of important or deep topics out there, but I don't like to take myself so serious. So when I write, I try to hide the message and coat it with a surface of way more digestible lines. But yeah, the problem is there. It can be that it reads silly, or it reads simply shallow. That can be it. And I don't have a problem with it, and I don't demand people to go
Deeper.
or deeper. That it doesn't matter. You can
Mhm,
enjoy a lyric on every layer, but for
mhm,
those who wants to grow deeper, not grow, like they want to dive deeper,
mhm.
I think they can. I think they can. I'm also happy to answer questions. I find it amusing if somebody wants to know something. And it also happens a lot that people completely misunderstand what's written there, and they make their own version. And
Mhm,
often their own version is as interesting as the original one,
mhm.
because um, I was watching this master class on making poetry. I'm gonna tell you who's the poet. I'm very bad with names and stuff. Master class poetry. Oh my God, Billy Collins. How can I forget him? All right. So, and he says something that is very interesting and is very precious to me, which is the poem doesn't belong to the writer, it belongs to the reader. So you
Mm.
want to give something to the reader. You want to give them a soil on which they can grow their own imaginarium in a way, because otherwise, if you want the reader to read what you're writing, it will result in a very dull, self-indulgent kind of piece of writing.
Mm. Mm.
Instead, you have to suggest and give the possibility to the reader to make their own fantasy, which is
Mhm.
very important. And if we can think of a song as a surrogate to a poem, which in a way it is, it's important that they share the same value. So it's
Right.
important to be generous to the reader and not to be overwhelming, I guess.
Yeah.
Leave them some space. I really believe in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I'd never thought about it that way before, but I agree, and it's a really interesting way of approaching it and expressing it, because it is important for people to find their way, what's true to them and what's right for them. And we all need at points resources to be able to do that. And music is like the number one resource. So
Mm.
that's really interesting. With your guys's physical vinyl and CD albums, do you have the lyrics in?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, we
cool.
do.
Awesome.
We never miss, we never miss it. It's kind
That's
of
good.
important. Well, reading back in the years, I think we were horrible writers. Like, of course, not being English natives, it doesn't help at
Oh, for
all.
sure.
So in the past, I think we had rather horrible lyrics, but in the past, in the past few albums, I think we kind of refined that. And of course, there is my friend Des Naria, who is a musician and a writer himself, and he was born in England.
Mm.
Right now, lives in Colorado. So he checked on these lyrics ultimately to
Oh,
make sure that
made
not
sense.
everything is wrong, because
Yeah.
in a way it's also difficult that because we are European and we are Italian, so we formulate concepts in a different way, and it
Hmm.
was his job to try and understand if a concept sounded kind of awkward but could still be saved and kept because that's interesting in a way, or just saying, no guys, this is not comprehensible, so rephrase it.
Right.
So
So
he did a hell of a job.
do you guys choose to do English lyrics just because so many people speak English, so you know that you can hit a lot more audiences with?
That's a good question. It's a generational thing, I guess. When we started making music, English lyrics was the one and only way. If you didn't want to get stuck in your region, native region, you needed to do English. But
Mm-hmm.
then, luckily, that thing has changed. If I think of a band like Kvelertak, they're based in Norway, and they're one of my favorite metal band at the moment, or where, because things happen to everybody. They're just seeing Norwegian, and it doesn't really matter what they say. I understand. I read some very bad translation, I guess, that they don't deliver the real message, but they're singing about their lang and their folk meats and stuff, folklore. Uh, so bands like that got really popular, and it doesn't matter anymore to speak one language. The world by
Right.
now is very interested with folklore. Folkloristic music is all everywhere, and influences from diverse countries are in every piece of music, and I love that. So we never changed it. I was suggesting at some point that we could write in Italian, but what for? It wouldn't feel right because we always did English
Right.
with all the difficulty that comes with it. We always did English, and why changing at album number 6?
Right.
We put there one Italian sentence, che cazzo dici fra, which means, what the fuck are you talking about, brother? We put it there in Italian, and that's pretty much the only case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I really like, one of my favorite albums is oh gosh, I'm trying to remember even what Zeischen is what it's called, and it's from a band named Barg from Germany. I have no
Right.
idea what they're saying throughout the whole album, but I could listen to it over and over and over and love it just as much, and I have zero idea of what they're talking about.
Right. And it doesn't really matter, does it? What
It
they say.
doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different, that's why they say music is a universal thing. There's so many different elements that come to music, and just the composition and feel of music, even without the lyrics, there's so much that comes from that lyrics aren't always important.
Yeah, especially because, yeah, we said it, like, uh, songwriting is a surrogate of poem, just because when you write a poem, there's only a page and that's it. Your words, they rule the page. But when you're writing lyric for a song, there's so many factors to think of. So the number of syllables per line, and the duration of the verse, and rhyme schemes, and the sound of things. Also, there are some rhymes that you can do in poems, in poetry, but you can't do in when you sing, because there are such read rhymes. So something that reads in rhyme, but the sound of it doesn't rhyme, and that wouldn't work in a song. So yeah, we have to be more we have to be more easy with lyrics.
Hmm.
They can have a lot of meaning to them, but also not knowing what a song that you love means, it's fine and
Yeah.
super appreciable. Sometimes I wish I unreaded some lyrics that were
Right.
so bad.
Oh,
Yeah. So
seriously. Yeah, yeah. There's been a band or two in my history that I've actually stopped listening to because I'm like, oh, I don't like their message.
yeah,
I don't like what they're
yeah.
standing
Yeah.
for.
So let's not say who they are, but I also have mine. Let's not say who they are, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, for
guys,
sure. I agree.
I wish they were instrumental.
Yeah. Spread the love, not the hate, right?
Yeah, at all
Yeah.
times. That's so important. That's so important. You know, I'm so happy that we didn't receive any hate message on the Italian boy. That was so important to me, because
Yeah.
it's easily addressable. You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
1,000 ways you can hate on that piece of video.
Mm-hmm.
So happy, like, it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and this is because it's 2022.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, things were really different. The
Yep.
the word was so much more shameful in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So shaming everything and everywhere. But now, if there are good things now, there are good
Yeah.
things. There are terrible things. Everything sucks, and I think I'm a big part of it. But people are more kind. I don't know. Either people are more kind, or the assholes are afraid now.
Mm,
This is the two cases.
right, because
Yeah.
the kind people are becoming louder. I
Yeah.
think overall, I think like if you went by percentages, if we were able to even possibly figure out what the percentages between kind and unkind people are, I think there's much more kind people. I think the loud people generally usually are the unkind people, and that's why sometimes we kind of lose faith in humanity, because it seems like there's a lot of ugliness out there, but it's just the loud people that have the ugliness. So I agree. I think the kind people are being more vocal and speaking up more, and that's feeling more balanced. But I think that there's much more good people out there than there is bad, much more.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have taken a ton of your time, and I really appreciate you letting me take so much of your time. It's
Oh, that's cool.
you've
It was really cool. Like, it went away like nothing.
you've
Yeah.
been very gracious with it. I get greedy when I'm really enjoying an interview. I'll get greedy with time, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have taken so much of this poor person's time. So I really appreciate you being so kind about it. One of the kind ones.
Uh, Not a problem. I love talking. I could do it forever. I think I have verbal diarrhea.
I probably do too, actually. Oh, awesome. I hope you enjoy your vacation. What do you have? What's like you guys are doing a tour coming up. Um, do you know anything beyond that for Destrange?
Tour wise, or release
Or just
wise.
in general, like you have the tour coming up. You said 15 shows, I think you said the European tour. Do you know
Yeah,
beyond that?
yeah, yeah,
Or are you guys just kind of taking it a step at a time and seeing how it goes?
Beyond that, there's going to be a few instrumental videos, and
Oh, cool.
more tours are going to be planned, and some content that we're dropping here and there. And now we have a partnership with a video game that I'm not
Oh,
allowed to talk about. So we will do some content with that also, and stay creative, I guess. For
good.
me, also maybe having some rest, because all these video clips and all this graphic content really turned me down
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot. Now
Yeah.
I just wanna be playing my guitar a little bit. Like, the life of a musician today is a lot harder than it
Yes.
used to be. Like, budgets are slow, so entourages are small, and people in the business are fewer and fewer. Like,
Yep.
if you're having a band, is basically you're having a company.
Mm-hmm.
Playing your instrument is a fraction of the time that you're going to get to your band. So there's a lot of stuff to do all the time. And
Yep.
now I think I would enjoy playing my guitar a little bit back,
Good.
relearn things that I've forgotten, all that.
Yeah. Prepare for the tour. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. What is the best way people can support you guys?
The best way would be, pre-orders are open for the tour and for the vinyls. So you want to make sure you check that out. It's a pretty valuable object. I spent precious time designing it. I love the way it looks. It looks much better than a CD. We also have CDs if you prefer CDs over vinyl, and nice t-shirts and nice live shows. That's the best way you can support any band in the world.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, you got some really bright colors on the vinyls and the shirts.
Yeah, I they look great
I
on
bet.
screen. I don't know how they're gonna look on print.
Oh, you
To
haven't
be
seen them
fair,
yet.
I haven't seen them yet. No,
Yeah.
no, no. They're gonna be they are printed right now in the US. So I've never
Oh.
seen the print. We just received the test proof. We listened to them and we made adjustments to the sound. But print wise, I have no idea. And
Hmm.
that's always a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Hmm. Well, thank you again so much. Have a great time on your vacation. I hope it's very relaxing and gives you a new energetic boost in a mental way.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you. The time flew by. Very cool. So thank you for the energy. Like, this feels good. I'm gonna go
Good,
get drunk
good.
now.
Yeah, it's so much fun chatting with you. It's always a pleasure to be able to chat with someone that you can just feel like comfortable with, you know. So I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Cool.
fantastic.
Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your vacation.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.